All right, so if we want to pick a spot to like fly, is that Manchester? Is that what that is? Is that
Yeah, exactly.
We'll probably overfly where your house is.
Okay, cool.
Left aileron up, left aileron down, right aileron up, right aileron down. Elevator up, elevator down. Trim is set for takeoff. What am I forgetting? Seat belts, door, fire extinguishers right here. I'll do all the call-outs. All right, cool.
Launch ground bear 98 Alpha Alpha. We're Beach 58. We'd like to do a VFR to the northwest.
All right, bear 98 Alpha Alpha, Roger, runway 23, taxi via Alpha, cross runway 14.
Alpha cross 14 for 23, 98 Alpha Alpha. Launch tower bear 98 Alpha Alpha 23, ready to go.
Tom, welcome to another episode here on the pilot season of Value Props right now. I love it. For everyone at home, this is Tom Murdock. Tom's a good friend of mine. He's an investor, advisor of QuotaPath as well. Tom, do you want to give your background for everyone?
Yeah, sure. VP of Sales at Momentive currently, the makers of SurveyMonkey and Get Feedback. Prior to that, spent a little over 4 years at a company called HubSpot. And then prior to that, a couple other software companies, one called Fuse. And my first job in technology was at Acquia. That was also just an amazing run there as well. And then prior to that was in a completely different industry, was running a company called Freedom Boat Club, which if you're familiar with the concept of Zipcar, where you pay a membership to join Zipcar, and then you have access to their fleet of cars whenever you need to make a reservation. Exact same concept for Freedom Boat Club.
Yeah, boating to sales, that completely makes sense. They're like the same exact thing.
It was funny at the time, I didn't realize it until much later, but it was kind of my first exposure to a recurring revenue business, which, as I started learning more and more about SaaS, could really see the upside of a career in SaaS with that recurring revenue model. So yeah, that was kind of my first introduction into running a sales team and being a business owner. And
were you really reading David Scott's is4entrepreneurs.com at that time? You're like, I'm going to apply this AR business to my boating business.
It's funny that I didn't realize the true power of it at the time in the early days of it. But man, all of a sudden you start to see, if you do a really good job taking care of your customers, that recurring revenue model can
work. It's kind of a thing to say. Everyone's all about these usage-based models and subscription-based models, but
I know
that recurring revenue model kind of works. I get asked a lot about how's sales changed? What's different? It's not the pandemic. Sure, that's the inside sales team has helped empower individual users to get a leg up. Where I see the change happening is you have all these teams, and all of them are thinking about different ways to extract value from what they're doing day to day. And they're still relying on their managers help support that, but it's really hard. You don't have a whiteboard. You're not deal sparring, I call it.
Yep.
They're not talking through those, so they're looking for other ways and other tools to help them do that. How have you seen that change on your team just in the last year and the people that you work with? Talk about necessity being the mother of all invention, right? You just didn't have a choice, right? You don't have a choice. Yeah, you got to figure out for your business what's the best way to generate more pipeline or bring those deals to close as quickly as possible. And I don't think there's really much of a special sauce, really, other than trying to lean into technology that's going to help you do it as much as you can. And that's, I think, why we've seen companies like HubSpot and Gong and some other companies that have really taken off over the last 2 years. Not to mention QuotaPath. I mean, there we go.
Let's go. I think as we look to technology to help us close those gaps as much as you can by not being in the office, that's been helpful. And you know what? I will say it's really interesting that one thing I noticed when I was at HubSpot when the pandemic first hit, we had to go home, saw this very unique thing happen in the team. And my team was, 225, 250 people at the time. But we noticed almost, overnight, within a week or two, that we started noticing folks who had historically been quite extroverted in nature, have had a really hard time adjusting to being at home. Oftentimes just by themselves selling, which can be brutal if you're more of an extroverted person. However, on the flip side, we also noticed those who were a bit more introverted in nature really saw a pickup in their activity and their ability to focus and their ability to kind of get stuff done in their day-to-day job.
because they were actually in the environment where they were in the environment that made the most effective. So I think this idea, long story longer, I think this idea of making sure that you're setting up a sales environment based upon the folks on your team, it's going to enable them to do their best work and enable them to sell, and help their customers the best way that they can.
I love how you think about that. We think about like value props and like what is that value proposition, and enabling your team that like really sticks with me, and having leaders and managers be like not a barrier, not a blocker. When there's new technology that gets brought up, I'm like, okay, let's take a look. Let's like actually go through it. But I'm not going to be the person to say no. I'm going to take this off autopilot here. All right. I'm going to fly the airplane. We're going to go about 1,500 to 2,000 feet per minute. So he's going to have like 34 to 45 seconds to give the pitch on Momentive.
All right, let's do it.
Any type of pitch. If you want to do a recruiting pitch, if you want to do the pitch on the product, if you want to do just a pitch on how great it is, if you want to do a pitch on how great you are, you do any pitch you want.
All right, okay,
I'll
try to work them all.
There we go. And go.
All right. So yeah, at Momentive, what we've really come to believe and help our customers believe is that you've got to understand what your customers are, thinking, feeling, saying, and doing, and not just your customers, but also your employees and all your stakeholders. And if you can do that really well through collecting and actioning feedback from those stakeholders, you're going to be able to make decisions for your business that are going to, to our point earlier, continue to increase value that you're driving to your customers. So again, we're really focused on helping our customers figure out what their customers are thinking, saying, feeling, and doing through robust mechanisms to collect that feedback and then trigger workflows based upon that feedback.
I think I beat you up to the top, but you took the weightlessness in stride. It didn't even phase you, so you win on that one.
All right, sweet.
Now, by the way, if we haven't mentioned, Tom is also a pilot.
Getting there.
We haven't mentioned that.
Yeah, getting there. I got about 90 hours in right now. And yeah, this field here off our left is where they do a lot of the FAA check rides up here.
Yeah, well, you got to be a pilot. Anyone that can wear aviators like that is like
it's funny. It's funny you say that because I was on the way over here and I'm like, I forgot my glasses. So I pulled into Target. I grabbed these for $17 and here we are.
It's 17. Well, and then here I am, the chump that's not wearing them.
No, I can't believe it. I wasn't expecting it to be a day like today.
I know. We're in Boston, Massachusetts, and it is, we were in Portland, basically. We were in a beautiful, beautiful day. Although I should say, now that we're in a cockpit and I'm having this conversation, I don't know if Momentive's a customer of ours yet there, Tom. And
I'll tell you what.
It's the world's most expensive sales pitch going on right now.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, your LTV to CAC would be interesting on this one. Man, I'll tell you what, I when we first started talking about QuotaPath and what you all were trying to go after and what you were trying to do, we were at the time I was at HubSpot and we were implementing a legacy software for that, and we were up. I think at the time we had hit the 18-month mark, or the 12 to 18-month mark, somewhere in there.
I got news. You're at 30-month mark right now.
Oh my god!
I know this very well.
I mean, it's just crazy. It's just. Oh man.
Yeah. I think for us, it was the time to value and just making sure that the end user could see the success. We're a HubSpot Ventures company, and I have so much enjoyed working with so many people out there. You, Durkin, Brandon Greer has been fantastic. Andrew Lindsay's been awesome. Just such great sponsors. And getting the exposure on the partnership side to the SMB, enterprise, mid-market team. So I think in the last 2 weeks, we've talked to over 300 CSMs and AEs at HubSpot. Got such great feedback from how they think about the world. And that's the important. Taking what you said at the beginning of like that end user and then the cycle time, and you can combine those two and you get down to the heart of it. It helps improve the customer journey and the company so much faster.
Oh yeah, it just exponentially improves over time too, which is where the real power is. So. But yeah, I was really excited to learn about what you all were doing. I was sort of like in the, I think like when all faster than normal sales cycles happen, right? Just when the prospect has a real pain that they're suffering through, and
yeah, I think where you all had clearly 15 to 250 customers in less than a year. Obviously, you've hit a nerve, so that's just awesome. Not to mention the team's executing at such a high level.
A lot of growth to go. We've got a lot of growth. We had a lot of really good things to upcoming, but I think what it's really helped is just learning from the sales teams and how sales teams are improving and how they're thinking about the world and how they're changing it. And what it really amounts to is that sales leaders like yourself have really been able to take their lessons learned over the course of their career, and it's become more vocal. It's not thought leadership because it's all genuine. It's like, how can we help each other as a sales profession, a sales career, versus just like making sure that we're helping our team. It's lifting everyone up.
And I think that's something that's changed since I started. And it's still there in pockets, but I think the perception of selling is changing. And if you're doing it the right way, right? Like the professions, sales professionals, that key word there being professionals, is that perception is changing. And I think when you're selling the right way to customers, naturally, right, you're going to feel better about what you're doing every day.
Yep. I 100% agree, and it's just such a great feeling where you're like unifying and you align with the customer, and it's a great feeling. All right, we got a plane coming up ahead of us, and I'm probably going to see what's going on over at Lawrence Muni right now. We'll give Tower a call.
All right. Autopilot is off.
Autopilot's off.
AC off.
AC is off. Carry a little bit of speed. We got plenty of runway, so I carry speed.
Nicely done.
Tom, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. This was a pleasure.
And that was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
It was awesome. Loved it. I'm game for next season.
Next season we'll have our stuff together.
Let's do it.
Until next time, it's been Value Props. Have a good day.